CyberCook can record your cook sessions by taking snapshots of CyberCook parameters such as pit and food temperatures and set points at a set time interval and saving the data to its internal database. The snapshot interval is 5 minutes by default and can be set by the user on the Refresh Intervals menu. You can change the snapshot interval at any time. If the snapshot interval is changed while recording is underway, subsequent snapshots are taken at the new interval. CyberCook features a powerful and customizable graphing system that plots recorded cook session data in a graphical format along the entire cook session timeline. This video provides an in-depth look at CyberCook's cook session graphing capabilities. Before you begin recording a session, you have to create a new cook session. Enter any desired details about the session on the active cook screen. You can also start a cook session and come back later to enter or change session details on the active cook screen. Enter a name for your event, then set the date if necessary. The date is automatically initialized to the current date. You can enter location and general weather information if desired. Then select your pit, charcoal, and smoking woods. After you have entered session details, you are ready to create a cook session. Tap the Create Session button to begin the session.
Beginning cook session.
After you have created a cook session, you are ready to start recording. Go to the Control Panel screen and tap the Recording Status and Control Annunciator to begin recording.
Recording started.
Once you have started recording, you can view the session graph for your new cook session. Cook session graphs are available for the active cook session and all saved sessions. The active session graph can be accessed directly from the control panel by tapping the Graph button on the top toolbar. The active session graph can also be accessed by tapping the Graph button on the active cook screen. Active session graphs are automatically updated as new snapshots are taken, so you don't have to manually refresh the graph. Graphs for saved cook sessions are accessed from the Saved Cook screen. To display a graph, tap the desired cook session on the Saved Sessions list to display the Session Detail screen. Then tap the Graph button on the Session Detail screen. Session data is displayed graphically across the entire cook session timeline. Displayed session data includes pit temperature and set point, probe temperature and set point for each of the 3 food probes, weather information downloaded from the internet, CyberCook fan output, and user-entered session events. You can scroll along the graph timeline by sliding your finger horizontally left or right across the graph. Local time labels are displayed at the top of the graph, while elapsed time since recording was started is displayed in the labels at the bottom of the graph. The temperature scale is continuously displayed on the left side of the graph. You can zoom in and out on the graph using the standard 2-finger iOS pinching gesture. The graph can be zoomed in and out to adjust the amount of data displayed at one time. To reset the graph to the default zoom scale, tap the Reset button located next to the upper temp limit control. Resetting the graph also returns it to the beginning of the graph timeline. The graph is initially drawn in the current temperature scale, Fahrenheit or Celsius. Tapping the temp scale control located at the top of the graph redraws the graph with the new temp scale without having to change the active temp scale on the control panel settings menu. Temperatures that are above the graph upper temp limit are not drawn. However, the graph supports 3 selectable upper temp limits: 300 degrees, 400 degrees, and 500 degrees Fahrenheit, and their Celsius equivalents. Tapping a new temp limit on the upper temp limit control redraws the graph using the new upper temp limit. The graph will remain at the current position on the timeline after it is redrawn. CyberCook features 5 different graph themes. To change themes, tap the Themes button on the top toolbar to display the available themes. Tapping the desired theme in the list immediately redraws the graph with the new theme. CyberCook displays a wealth of information about your cook sessions and even allows you to add customized session events to the graph at the point in the cook where they occurred. Now, let's take a detailed look at the types of information available on the graph. Pit temperature is displayed by a solid red plot line with a red dot at each plot point. The pit set point is displayed by a dashed red plot line. High and low temp shading can also be displayed, indicating the relationship of pit temp to the set point. Blue shading indicates the pit temp is below the set point, and red shading indicates it is above the set point. Shading can be turned on and off as discussed later in this video. Food temperature is displayed for each of the 3 CyberCook food probes. Each food temp is displayed with a solid plot line. Each food probe plot line is drawn using a dedicated color that matches the probe panel titles on the control panel. Each food set point is displayed with a dashed line using the same color as the associated food temp plot line. Tapping the Legend button, located at the bottom left corner of the graph, displays the graph legend. The legend indicates the color used to draw each plot line. The legend labels are customized using the user-entered food names for easy identification and probe association. The same color is used to draw both the actual and set point temperatures for pit and food temps. Tapping any red snapshot plot point displays the snapshot detail menu. The snapshot detail menu provides detailed information for the pit in each food probe at the moment the snapshot was recorded. The title of the snapshot detail menu displays the time the snapshot was taken in local time and the elapsed time since recording was started. Pit detail includes the pit set point, pit temperature, pit status, and fan output. Tapping the probe selector allows you to switch between the 3 food probes. The probe selector title reflects the user-entered food name, making it easy to know which food you are looking at. Probe detail includes food set point, temperature, and food status. CyberCook can plot the CyberCook fan output over the entire timeline to correlate fan operation with pit temperature. This may be useful in determining the fuel state of your pit. The fan output for each snapshot is displayed by tapping the fan output button at the bottom of the graph. Tapping the fan output button displays the fan output plot. The fan output percentage is displayed above each fan output plot point. To remove the fan output plot, tap the fan output button a second time. If auto weather was on during recording, outside air temperature is plotted using weather information downloaded from the internet and is displayed with a solid green plot line. A green dot is also drawn at the point where each weather snapshot was recorded. Tapping any weather snapshot plot point displays detailed weather information such as temperature, humidity, cloud cover, and precipitation. User-entered session events are displayed at the point on the graph where the user added them. Session events are indicated by a colored hexagon symbol using the color selected by the user. Tapping on a session event displays user-entered information regarding that event and the local time that corresponds to its position on the graph. You can choose exactly what data you want displayed on the graph on the Plots menu. The Plots menu is displayed by tapping the Plots button at the bottom of the graph. On the Plots menu, you can individually select each graph plot on or off, effectively decluttering the graph. Selecting a plot switch on or off immediately redraws the graph with the new settings. The food probe switch labels are customized using the user-entered food names. If no name has been entered, The default names probe 1, 2, or 3 are used. Session events can be added at any point on the graph. To add a session event, tap the graph at the desired point and hold for 1 second. Enter any desired text. Select a color for the session event plot point, then tap Add Event to add the event to the session. The session event is immediately added to the graph at the point where you tapped. To view a session event, tap the event plot point. You can edit the text in the event text field while the event is displayed. To delete an event, tap the red Delete badge, then tap Delete Event on the confirmation alert. Once deleted, session events cannot be recovered. Sometimes it can be useful to compare a session to a previous session to compare the progress of the cook. To accomplish this, CyberCook provides the ability to display 2 cook session graphs on screen at once. To view 2 session graphs, tap the Compare button on any graph screen. The graph for the currently selected cook session is displayed on the bottom graph. Both graphs are displayed using the current graph theme. To display a second session for comparison, tap the Select Session button to display the list of all saved cook sessions. Tap the desired session to display the selected session on the top graph. Each session graph can be scrolled and zoomed independently. Tapping the Reset Graph button resets both graphs to the default zoom scale and returns the graphs to the beginning of the graph timeline. A Graph Legend button is located at the bottom left corner of each graph to display the foods associated with each food probe. CyberCook fan output is plotted on both graphs by tapping the Fan Output button located at the top of the screen. Graph plots can be added and removed by tapping the Plots button on the top toolbar. Changing any plot setting redraws both graphs with the new settings. Just like on the session graph, tapping any pit, weather, or session event plot point displays the associated detail menu. This concludes our introduction to the CyberCook Graphing System. Go to iPortableSolutions.com for additional information, including the CyberCook User Guide. Email requests for app support, bug reports, and app enhancements to support@iPortableSolutions.com.